Well, I just got through with the case in Grimsboro in Elite Mode, case number 9, so let's start case number 33 in the conspiracy where we're back to Grimsboro. A rock and a hard place. Ooh, that doesn't look like a good crime. That looks pretty gruesome. Well, unfortunately, Rupert is now gone from our team. Matthew, I still can't believe we buried our colleague and friend Rupert. He volunteered to go to the dome undercover to learn about the meteorite, but he was recognized by a Dreamlife employee who knew him from college. We never could have foreseen this. Jones, now's not the time to grieve, unless you want Rupert to have died in vain. Rupert managed to steal an access card to the lab where the meteorite is being studied, and we also synthesized the lead researcher's DNA to fool the authentication system. It's the middle of the night. Now's your best shot at going to that lab without anyone seeing you. Matt, you heard the chief. Let's go to the dome and finally take a look at this mysterious meteorite. Alright, Matthew, this is the lab where Dreamlife keeps the meteorite. Now's our chance to get in, while everyone's asleep. First, we'll scan the badge. Scanning badge. Badge authorized. Please provide DNA sample. I hope the breath spray Kathy made from Hoover's DNA will fool the security system. Breath analysis in progress. Access granted. It worked! Come on, Matthew, let's slip in and finally see that meteorite.
A ceremony and a reception. The venue declared a no-go for safety reasons. Then the backup indoor venue called out too, which means that they know the plan C, never thought they'd need one.
We just have to roll with the punches because that's the only thing you can really do at that point. There is no point in worrying about things you can't control.
But we understood that we wanted to keep everyone safe on Friday and do what was best for the majority of people. But it was a little bit painful thinking of all the planning that goes into a wedding and not seeing your vision unfold.
They had to take care of one big detail, the date. They decided to up the 2 days to Wednesday.
We just pulled the trigger, all our friends, our wedding party, our groomsmen,
decapitated.
We just told them, hey, about to get married in like 4 or 5 hours, so you can make it, you can. If not, it's cool, don't worry about it.
I was like, oh, I need to do that in the So we just went to Target and get
I think that's Barb Bellamy.
We're having an impromptu wedding, you know. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna head down no matter what the situation is, so I just drove down with my shorts and t-shirt and slippers.
Some bridesmaids came right from the front with yoga pants and walked down the aisle together and
They didn't need a rehearsal, so that turned into the reception. Our father is now in full dad mode.
Now we're just trying to see if we can get some refund from some of the vendors.
The whole night that they didn't get to use it all. We did get the cake delivered. We did get some food. Their videographer and their photographer, they didn't get to use them at all.
Oh my God, Matthew, that woman's been beheaded. And you're right, we know her. It's Barb Bellamy, the Dome Chief of Security. What was she doing here? Do you think she was guarding the meteorite? Stop right there! Oh my God, Barb's dead! You murdered her! What? We're the police! You're not seriously going to pin this on us, are you? Why else would you be here in the middle of the night? This is ridiculous. Calm down, Miss Pierre. Let's just talk this through.
Yeah, pictures. Sister has video. Yeah, evidence.
And they know they're true friends. Those guys that showed up with their yoga pants and their holy shorts.
There's a clean win. Both shorts. Bundle, kidnapped. Good stuff. New role for actor Dwayne Johnson. Definitely. Has people talking.
After the break, The Rock as the king.
That's odd.
You're watching Islanders at 10. We'll be right back.
Senior Trooper Matthew, I can't believe this. First you send spies into my dome, and now you're straight up killing my employees. Did Barb walk in on you while you were snooping around? That's why you killed her, isn't it? Come on, you know we didn't kill her. We're police officers, not murderers. You're trespassers, and I found you next to a dead body. I'm taking this to the Chief of Police, Detective Jones, and making sure you face punishment for your crimes. Matthew, I'm not going to lie. This is bad. Chief, everyone knows Rosetta's lying. Surely she can't actually accuse us of murder. You have to understand, the only way I can explain your presence there is by admitting we entered that lab with a stolen badge, which would not do us any favors. So what are we going to do? Judge Powell has negotiated with Rosetta to give us 12 hours to investigate. Needless to say, this means you don't have time to investigate the meteorite. This murder couldn't have come at a worse time. Rosetta's particularly bent on accusing you, Jones, which means you cannot go back to the dome with Matthew. That's absurd! I didn't kill anyone! Yes, and that's why we will not bother interrogating you. But nevertheless, Gloria will investigate Bellamy's death with Matthew. Matthew, you only have 12 hours. You had better make the most of them. Go back to that lab and solve that murder.
During the BMW Summer on Sales Force, part of it $3,000 in select loans.
A new paradigm is coming to Hawaii that is going to change everything. Paradigm waterproof from spills or spraying when exposed to liquids and comes with a limited lifetime warranty for the owner. Available at Homeowners Design Center. We put it
So we're doing this crime scene once again.
Actor Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, as the King.
The upcoming film called The King. The Rock wrote he's humbled and grateful to take on this.
There we go. Tool set. Security camera. Dropper.
Is it coming here free? Or is it Who knows? Remains to be seen. Thanks for watching United News at 10.
There we go.
Providing closed captioning for KITV Island News.
Up to second now. I know this is a sorry business and all, but oh my god, look at that meteorite! I never expected it to be made out of crystals. What could Dreamlife be doing with it? You're right. Unfortunately, this will have to wait. We only have 12 hours to figure out who killed Bellamy. Our first step should be to figure out who else could have been here at such a late hour. The label on this geology tool should tell us if you can recover it. And good point. There's only one other way out of this lab, which means whoever killed Bellamy had to exit through it. We need to have a look outside.
Well, I just look at your excellence as an editor. And as you know, I'm not that easy to please.
Simon McGree in a skirt.
Maybe not that bad.
That's what we're going to need.
Oh,
Okay.
I've eaten in a lazy L, and they have a very nice downtown atmosphere. Very nice.
If the has changed the name to Bucks Buckaroo, I'm not sure the atmosphere is going to be quite the same as you now.
We're going to start the autopsy here. Okay. Okay. Let's get another star.
I'm thinking about buying your publishing rights.
Well, as you well know, Mr. Wilson, it's not mine to sell.
Broken clipboard. Oh, bloody circular saw. Ball. Hamburger. Oh dear, I seem to have lost out on some stuff, but you know what? You'll see what I got.
Colorful compared to the lazy owl. Who cares this place? But there's a publicity woman to think of Anakin this time as a fully psychic.
This saw is covered in blood. This must be what the killer used to cut Bellamy's head off. So we've got a murder weapon. The killer must have dumped it here as they fled the lab. Let's get a sample of the blood on that saw. And let's piece this broken clipboard back together to see what we can learn from it. Rosetta's trying to pin Bellamy's murder on us, Matthew, but these clues help us find the real killer. And I'm gonna get as much stars as I possibly can. Heck, I'll get them all if need be. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some stars to collect. A long way to go. I can do it. Hold on, folks. Okay, I have 20 stars. Let's examine the tool set right now. I would have had 24 if I had enough time to get it all, but unfortunately I don't.
It's not completely out of the realm of possibility that his son was murdered violence as well. How do you guys been talking about inheritance because
E. Fuller.
It's not specifically proven inherited behavior. Are we just going to make up new theories just because?
Matthew, the geology toolkit belongs to an E. Fuller. He must be working here researching the meteorite. Let's see if this E. Fuller can help us. Emilio Fuller.
ERD2A1 allele rate was
Gene defect to predispose us towards violence.
that was... If a man has a defect, is he absolutely going to be erased?
It's the middle of the night. What's going on, officers?
We know that the system...
Forgive us for waking you, Mr. Fuller. The chief of security has just been found dead in the meteorite lab. We're investigating. What? Bellamy's dead? Did they damage the meteorite? The meteorite's fine, which is more than can be said for Bellamy. Do you have any idea who might have gone to this lab so late?
We never mentioned that in the testimony.
Who wouldn't be at the lab? It's the coolest place under the dome. I would have been there if only I didn't need to sleep sometimes. Yeah, that sounds pretty exciting. What kind of work are you doing exactly? Oh, I can't tell you about it, of course, but believe me, it's amazing, groundbreaking. Well, if you think of anything that might help us, please seek us out.
Scientific evidence aside, this case is about the choices we make and the choices that are made for us.
Okay, broken clipboard now.
Every single day, the lady belittled and stigmatized him. Did he choose to have a genetic defect? We're supposed to tell them, you should know better. Phil was born and lived in hell. Of course he was. He was engineered by nature and by nurture.
Matthew, this looks like an employee file for a janitor. It says he's got clearance everywhere. That means he'd be allowed in the meteorite lab too. There's no name, but the photo should be enough to figure out who this guy is.
He was raised knowing the only reason he exists is because his mother was violently raped. And you can understand why he wouldn't go to the emergency department. That's not an excuse for murder. In a civilized society, we have responsibility for our actions.
One,
This way to justify all emphasis on
two,
the pretense it isn't our fault, then the entire structure of the law is meaningless.
3.
In the end,
There we go, 4 of them. Cyril Shellwater. It looks like the janitor on the employee file is named Cyril Shellwater. If he had access to the meteorite lab, we definitely need to talk to him.
He specifically chose his victims, not because of some biological imperative, but because of opportunity.
He knew what he was doing was wrong, and he did everything he could to get away with it. It's life. Make him take responsibility for it.
Mr. Shellwater, the chief of security, was murdered in the meteorite lab. We know you have clearance to enter. Did you see anything suspicious? Ms. Bellamy was murdered? Holy smokes! I was in the meteorite lab earlier. I like to clean at night because nobody's around, but I didn't see anyone. This is a crazy place though, Senior Trooper Matthew. Lots of secrets, some hidden in plain sight, I'd imagine. Yeah, we know. Is there anything you can tell us? No, but I guess I have a pretty big mess to clean up. Better go. Mr. Shellwater, the lab is currently our crime scene. Entry is forbidden until further notice.
Put your hands for me. Please. Just because I want to do something good.
Matthew, let's get the sample of blood you took from the murder weapon to Amir for examination.
I've been trying to convince myself that he had choice. He raped our Steffi away.
3 hours, and I'll see you guys when both of these are done. See y'all then.
He's also accused of hitting a truck with Beartang at Food Line before driving to Wild
Oh,
Horse.
excuse me. We're back. Let's get the results of the autopsy of Barb Bellamy. Well, Matthew, this victim certainly didn't need much examination to determine the cause of death. Miss Bellamy's head was cut completely off. The body was still warm when you brought it in. She couldn't have been dead more than 5 minutes when you found her. So the killer was in the lab just before we got there. Did the body hold any other important clues? Yes. I found traces of baking soda on Miss Bellamy's chest, right where the killer knocked her down and cut off her head. This means your killer uses baking soda. Well, Matthew, no amount of baking soda will clean the blood from this killer's hands.
Asked multiple times if they wanted a ride from 4 men in a white car at a gas station. Honolulu police have been notified, and the school says it'll review safety practices with its students.
Coming up, making it easier to bring pets to
Amir, how are you holding up? It must feel strange to work alone in this lab. I don't want to talk about it. Let's get straight to the matter at hand. You're here about the victim's blood you collected from the murder weapon, right? Well, it was very strange at first, because the blood was more acidic than it should have been. And I discovered tiny globules that were not the congealed platelets I expected to find. It turns out the increased acidity of the sample was because the blood got contaminated with orange juice on the murder weapon. Matthew, we're on our way to neutralizing this acidic killer.
All through this Labor Day weekend have Inspirations. 25% off or more store-wide savings plus interest-free financing. Inspirations.
Matthew, I plan to sneak into the meteorite lab, but the access card Rupert had stolen for us ended in disaster. Not only did we find Barb Bellamy decapitated in that lab, we also have Rosetta blaming us for the murder. She's just trying to frame us so she can get rid of us. The chief brought us 12 hours, 3 of which are already gone. So far, our suspect list includes a lab tech working on meteorite research, and a janitor who had access to the lab and likes to stay up late. And with all of that, we're not any closer to figuring out what they're doing with that meteorite. All we know for now is that it's made of crystals and... Did you hear that, Matthew? It sounded like it came from that utility building over there. Is someone hiding in there? Matthew, we're being spied on.
See that right there? You can't say that. What? I was just saying I got great balls. Oh,
And I'll see you guys for Chapter 2. And we're back. Let's start Chapter 2 of A Rock and a Hard Place. We last left off. They were being spied on. That's what Gloria had said. I think someone's hiding in there. Let's go check it out, but be real quiet.
Welcome back. Big changes are coming that should make it easier for people to move their pets to Hawaii.
Hawaii is rabies-free and wants to stay that way. It typically means a long process before anyone can bring in a pet to the islands. Pets have to go through rabies vaccine, but some of those wait times in the rabies quarantine program are going to be cut down.
Currently, the waiting period after the FAVN test is 120 days, so that's going to be reduced to 30. Similar, the rabies vaccine waiting period will also drop to 30 days after the most recent vaccination.
Mayetta says the changes will make things easier for pet owners moving to Hawaii while continuing to rabies-free. It only impacts the 5-day or less program and goes into place tomorrow.
There are new guidelines for doctors treating rat lungworm disease that includes outlining clear symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment procedures. A team of expert physicians and specialists from across the state worked for the past year with the named national specialist on the disease to come up with the guidelines before there were no clear guidelines for doctors.
All right, time now to see how the evening rush hour is going.
Beach tracking the roads, be right with it.
Well, it's going to take you outside right now and see what we can find right
Victim's
now.
ticket book.
If you're heading out to the east side, no major concerns or typical.
There we go.
Like that. To the west side,
Romantic gift for Barb.
And each one city and into town. Really slow going through Clingy, and because of the same incident, it'll take you out H1 and Mills. This is the start of Honolulu Freeway. We do have a blocked right lane there to the accident slowing down. Actually,
Matthew, that clanking definitely came from here, but I can't see anyone. What is this place anyway? Look at all these pipes.
As we head into town, slow going through.
You're right. Maybe that storage bin could tell us who is hiding here in the middle of the night. Let's dig in. And this ticket book was Bellamy's. She must have used this to hand out infraction notices to Dream Life employees. I can see the impression of the last ticket she wrote. Let's try to recover the text. And you're right. Barb's name is also on this card. And there's a lipstick kiss on the plant pot too. Did Barb have a girlfriend? Bellamy didn't strike me as the romantic type, but people are full of surprises. That lipstick kiss should tell us who was smitten with her. Let's get a sample. Well, now we've got some clues to work with. Let's show Rosetta who's in charge here.
Has given out more than $30 million in federal disaster loans. $8 million has gone towards businesses, while $22 million of it has gone towards residents to help them rebuild and recover. Anyone whose property was damaged during the eruption still has time to get help. The deadline to apply for disaster assistance is September 12th. You can apply online at the Pahoa Disaster Recovery Center. Hawaii Island's tourism industry.
A bloody keychain. Matthew, this weird little alien keychain in that storage bin is stained with blood. Do you think it could have come from a crime scene? You're right. The lab will tell us if it's the victim's blood on the keychain.
President Donald Trump wants to stop plans to give civilian federal workers a raise. A pay increase of just over 2% was supposed to take place in January, but President Trump sent a letter to Congress calling the increase. It's unclear if the president will veto any spending measure that includes a federal worker pay raise.
12 hours?
His body has arrived at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland.
This weekend. Earlier today, a memorial service was held at North Phoenix Baptist Church in his home state. Former Vice President Joe Biden, Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald, and his children were among those who restored the service. As we next break, there's a look from the Windward Mall at the Full Lawn Monitoring. Next on Island Music Podcast.
There we go. Another 8 coming my way. Excellent, Matthew. Now let's get the lipstick sample from the plants of the lab for testing. It should tell us who gave this gift to our victim.
inspiration. Honolulu Design Center, Kapolei Commons, and now Pro Ridge Center. This is my sister. She has Hawaiian Telcom. Keeping it local. Didn't company from Cincinnati, Martin? Spectrum gives us all of our channels in HD for free. I pay $7.95 a month for HD. Plus, we get the free Spectrum TV app. The whole family can watch live TV on their devices. Hawaiian Telcom doesn't have that. Well, we are watching Spectrum's OC16. They're 24/7 local sports and live fashion. We don't get that either.
Get Spectrum TV at $29.99. Call 643-8282.
And Spectrum Internet starts at 200 megabits with AD+. Includes a free method of skill discount. You can't add that.
Get Spectrum Internet $29.99. Call 643-8282.
Voice unlimited national phone, no additional text. I pay extra just to get voicemail. That's it.
Cyrus Shellwater.
Spectrum TV Internet and $29.99 a month. Call 643-8282.
Ooh.
Here it is. Unfiltered.
Matthew, the last ticket Bellamy wrote in her infraction book was to Cyrus Shellwater, the janitor. Cyril Shellwater. And look, that clearly wasn't his first. Bellamy says it's his 12th infraction and that he was on thin ice. Clearly, Mr. Shellwater had gotten on our victim's bad side. Let's see what he has to say about it.
Test drive the Honda HRV.
Make it what you want. This is our vacation.
Mr. Shellwater, it appears you got into trouble with Barb Bellamy, with Agent Bellamy on numerous occasions. God, that woman was a nightmare.
It's a 4-day money-saving.
I worked 10 years in a hospital before coming here. Strict environment, dangerous cleaning up stuff you never even knew existed in a human body.
Free financing. Inspiration.
I even developed my own special recipe for cleaning the floors using baking soda and detergent. Got the ratio absolutely perfect. But none of that prepared me for Bellamy. What a psychopath. Her last ticket was for leaving my mop bucket in a physically dangerous position. It was on the floor against the wall. How am I supposed to mop if I can't have the bucket handy? Mr. Shellwater, it's clear that you saw Agent Bellamy as your nemesis, but I hope you didn't kill her. No, she saw me as a rebel, but I'm an upstanding citizen. I drink my orange juice in the morning and do my job like anyone else.
Some light showers now trying to work the town, so kind of heads up through town. This is
I'll let these two run their courses. See y'all then.
Lord Jesus.
Okay, we're back, and let's get the result of the lipstick sample first. Oh la la, Matthew. I heard you took the sample from a lipstick kiss on a flower. How romantic. What a beautiful gesture. Succulent's tolerance of harsh desert climates makes them symbolic of enduring and timeless love. That's nice, but did you get any good leads from the sample? The kiss that left the lipstick was emphatic, to say the least, which made it trace simple to collect DNA from it for testing. Lucky for us, DreamLife collects DNA from their employees, so it was easy to determine that the gift was from Wendy Stokes, a botanist in the Dome. So Bellamy was dating one of the Dome scientists? I didn't think that place would lend itself to romance, but we better talk to Wendy. Let's see what Wendy has to say. Miss Stokes, we're here investigating the murder of Barb Bellamy. We understand you were close. Oh God, they told me about the murder. I can't believe Barb's dead. How long have you been together? The Dome doesn't seem like the type of environment where romance could bloom. Well, we kept our relationship on the down low, but Barb was so funny and kind, we quickly hit it off. Bellamy was funny and kind? I don't think anyone's like that before. Oh, she had to be tough as chief of security, but in private she was lovely. And now she's dead. Matthew, Wendy was understandably upset, but with Rosetta's clock ticking, we need new leads and we need them fast. Where do you think we should go now? Good idea. Let's have another look at the steps outside the crime scene.
Right cheekbone and eye socket.
Somebody punched her in the face.
She probably broke her nose. At the very least, a hell of a shine with that.
Fuck, the swim with a broken nose. No wonder she drowned. You sure she didn't get that ticket to head her into the Hudson?
Have you found my mom?
Okay.
Found something that belongs to her.
Let's see.
I can see this?
It's my mom's. She wears it all the time. Where'd you find it?
In the park.
So that's a clue, right? She might have been there.
Well, we're not sure yet. Did your mom have a favorite place she liked to go for a walk or exercise?
Riverside
Oh no.
Park. She goes there all the time, practically every day. Is that where you found
I think that's it.
Sometimes she drives up to, what's that place, towards the
Let's
sunset.
see.
With all the stained glass and stuff, like a castle.
Oh, there's the car keys.
Do you know where she
Barely
is?
got it.
We're not sure of anything yet. Ariana Marquez. Last scene, 92nd and Broadway.
Matthew, you found the victim's phone. Let's unlock it. And if someone tried to access the lab at this hour, we need to know who it was. Let's reassemble the badge pronto.
Read. You sure? Alright, thanks. Ariana Marquez, found by deed from her dad. Oh, damn.
There we go. Matthew, that temporary access badge belongs to Philip Hoover. So he did realize his original access badge to the Meteorite Lab had been stolen. He could have used his temporary badge to access the crime scene around the time of the murder. Let's go and question Hoover, Matthew.
Private Eyes, Sunday, 9/8 Central, on Ion Television.
Instead of going to celebrity home, what else?
Dr. Hoover, we found your access badge in front of the lab. There's been a murder, so we want to know if you can account for your movements. With all this chaos around here, I don't even know if I'm coming or going, Senior Trooper Matthew. First, my original badge goes missing, then I break the second one. All of the stress is wreaking havoc on my organism. Even orange juice and baking soda aren't helping anymore. It must be quite stressful working with that big glittery meteorite, huh? Do you think I'm naive? I've got nothing to say to you about the meteorite or the murder. Good night.
She's learned how to be focused.
So visit K12.com today and join the over 1 million K12 students who have chosen public school at home. Tuition free and available in most states.
Right, I quit smoking for Chantix. I tried to quit smoking for
11515.
For me, Chantix worked.
51153.
Chantix without a doubt reduced my urge to smoke. When you try to quit smoking,
See, we have 3, 5, 1, 5, 7.
depression, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, or suicidal thoughts or actions with Chantix. Suicide, the worst part of blood vessel problems, sleepwalking,
Great! Now that the victim's phone is unlocked, we can send it to Kathy to look through.
Tell your healthcare provider if you have depression or other mental health problems. Decrease alcohol use while taking treatments. Use caution when driving.
12 hours.
The most common side effect is nausea.
I don't think about cigarettes anymore.
Talk to your doctor about
Now the bloody keychain.
Your insurance rate skyrocketed after a scratch so small.
Amir, this is ridiculous. Come home tonight, please.
Sign up for new insurance instead.
I told you I don't want to see you right now. Just give me some space. Oh, Matthew, I hadn't seen you come in. Leave us alone, Jasper. We've got work to do. Alright, I'll be home if you want to come back. Amir, is there something you need to talk about? Talk? Yes, let's talk about the clue you brought in. The blood on the keychain is your victim's. Then I was curious about this weird alien, so I searched for a match online. It turns out that the keychain is a free gift one receives upon subscribing to Wondrous Worlds, a science fiction magazine. Matthew, your killer reads this magazine. So our killer reads Wondrous Worlds magazine. Thank you, Amir, and the offer to talk still stands. We're here for you if you need us. There we go. Now let this run its course. I'll see you when that's done. Okay, we return. Let's get the results of the unlocked phone. Hello, Matthew. How are you holding up with Rosetta breathing down your neck? It's stressful, but thankfully Matthew's on top of things. Well, I think what I found on the victim's phone will interest you. The texts and emails didn't give me anything interesting, but the calendar app did. Rosetta had scheduled a meeting with Miss Bellamy in the meteorite lab a mere 10 minutes before you got there. So that's why Barb was in the lab, and that's how Rosetta walked in on Matthew and Jones. Well, it appears the tables have turned, Matthew. It's time we drill Rosetta for answers.
Earning a diabetic nerve pain. These feet made waves in high school. I built a career in construction, but I couldn't bear my diabetic nerve pain any longer. So I talked to my doctor, and he prescribed Lyrica.
Lyrica may cause serious.
So, Miss Pierre, you thought accuse yourself, but you can't fool Senior Trooper Matthew that easily. What are you talking about? I walked in on Detective Jones with the dead body. You were the one who called Bellamy to that lab. You had a meeting with her just before the time of the murder. Of course I had a meeting with Bellamy. It's been one breach of security after another lately. Who am I supposed to discuss it with but my chief of security? But I was in such a rush that I spilled my orange juice on my shirt and had to leave it to soak in baking soda to get the stain out. So I got to the meeting late, only to find your partner standing over Bellamy's dead body. If you truly had nothing to do with this, Senior Trooper Matthew, you better hurry up and find the person who did. You don't have much time.
It was just what we needed. So now we can undo all of the tough stains nobody did.
Dad, I didn't do it.
It's gotta be tied.
The clock is ticking, Matthew, and we've got to find Barb Bellamy's killer. You know Wendy Stokes was dating the victim. She insisted Barb was a warm and loving person in her private life. On the other hand, the janitor clearly had a grudge. Could 12 citations from Bellamy have pushed him over the edge? As for Hoover and Rosetta, they're infuriating as usual. Matthew, what on earth did you do to Rosetta? We were just doing our job. We found out. Whatever you did, it's not good. She's talked to Judge Powell. Now you've only got 3 hours to wrap up this case.
Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting.
Oh boy, Rosetta has done a complete 180 on us. We'll see you for... Oh, hello. Let's start Chapter 3 of A Rock in a Hard Place.
Other side effects include upper respiratory tract infection and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take.
And we just found out that we have 3 hours.
Otezla, show more of you. I mean, I say I do it for her.
She's talked to Judge Powell, and I don't know what string she pulled, but now you've only got 3 hours to wrap up this case. 3 hours to solve a murder? Judge Powell knows what our job entails, right? Of course, but Rosetta's got the upper hand. She's hell-bent on pressing charges against Jones if you don't find the real killer soon. With only 3 hours to crack this case, we better search in all the right places. Matthew, let's start at the scene of the crime.
I wonder if the #1 choice of vets for their dogs is yours. See your veterinarian for more information on flea and tick protection you and your dog will love. NexGard, the vet's #1 choice.
Sinofsky Daniel. Day student, third section, enrolled 1977.
Sinofsky was in New York. Oh, he had a Y in there to his name. This one has an IE.
First semester grades, second semester, pass from 302 of 315. Talk about your underachiever.
You must have burned a barrel of midnight oil the second and third years, right?
No,
Why the hell did he graduate ours?
he didn't. With or without honors. See for yourself. True. 1978.
No, he gets tough dropout. So who was the guy behind the desk in the appeals bureau? You got a photo of him?
Alright.
Score 10 records ring for that.
Broken trophy.
Take a while.
Over.
Yeah, that's me in law school. Go look at that airline. Yeah, I got a lot more photos. Him I don't recognize. He want to impersonate me anyway.
Ooh, threatening letter.
Well, yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer, but man, civil fraud, I didn't have a clue.
Things usually work out for the best, huh?
I guess. Well, sorry, I can't help you.
Look, around the time that you were in law school, somebody got...
Matthew, this anonymous letter was addressed to our victim. The letter says, Bart, if you don't leave, you'll die. It's covered in some kind of powder. Vacuuming up a sample might tell us who sent this. And is that a stress ball with the victim's face printed on it? Someone clearly needed to release some pent-up anger against Bellamy. Let's get some fingerprints from the ball to find out who it was. And whose broken trophy is this? Let's reassemble it. With such limited time, we need every clue we can get.
The Bar Association is trying to figure out how our Daniel Tanofsky got his credentials.
Hang on, guys. Okay, I have all stars. So now let's get the broken trophy out of the way.
The moment you realize you're lucky your backyard is in the bag.
There we go. Matthew, that trophy belongs to Emilio Fuller. It's from MIT. That's like the topmost science college. Pretty impressive. There's no way Emilio would have broken this. Let's get him to explain.
Get the app and find what you want right where you are.
Mr. Fuller, we found your trophy in pieces. Why would you have broken such a prestigious award? I didn't break it, that stupid Bellamy did. Bellamy broke it? Why would she do that? Because she had no respect for me or my achievements. She said the award was probably for a baking soda volcano, as if I couldn't do more impressive things with baking soda. She acted like I wasn't a top scientist from a prestigious university. She seen me drinking orange juice and saying, "Hey kid, how's your juice box?" And one time she saw me reading Wondrous Worlds and asked me if I got my diploma from an ad in the back of the magazine. She had no respect for me. It's possible she got killed because she looked down her nose at someone else, and that someone couldn't stand it. It's in the running now.
Trial division to appeals and buries himself in work. But only after Mr. Never Throw Anything Away cleaned out his case file.
All in the middle of an investigation.
Shield coins now.
That's just it. He wasn't who he said he was. Before a high profile. That's one explanation.
Let's see the victim's face now.
Wise guys got to him now. All this relates to Bruder. How exactly we don't know. But get this. This kid had an uncle who owned a pizza bar. The same pizza parlor where Tanofsky's ball came. The new owner just told us he never got around to changing the locks. Phone call was Bert Tanofsky to his death. So what changed in the basic equation?
Something about Brady Wood himself, who evidence, witness maybe? There's no statute of limitations on murder.
And no judge will give us a warrant for what we have.
Oh, boy. Now, the investigatory grand jury, read your minds.
You want to leverage for Quincy case?
There we are.
Detectives
Only one.
Peretti's disappearance that happened yesterday.
Now that we've dusted the stress ball for fingerprints, let's get it to the lab.
All the interest in one dead paisan 10 years down the road. Remember a shop steward? After all, it was one of yours.
In 9 hours.
Bobby Peretti was a steward. There was days working his life. He expected time and a half for it. But he was asking the question. So then every Thursday, then like the actual work here. That's it. On Monday, he feels quiet. Getting in his home. Hey, never said nothing about those people. You saw them? They were here. And you told them. You were kidding? Get some biscuits and books.
Here we go. We've collected the powder from the threat written to our victim. Let's put it under the microscope to see what it is.
Yeah, he disappears forever. What bothers me is how Tanowski figured to make the case without a body. Evidently, the shop steward's in for the biscuits and books tail correct. So where's this Detective Michelle with all the answers? There he is. Hey, listen up. Detective Green. Detective Michelle. Why?
Here we go. Fertilizer. Matthew, the powder on that threatening letter was fertilizer. Wait, does this mean the letter was sent by Wendy Stokes? She's a botanist. She's got her hands in fertilizer all day. Wendy says she was madly in love with the victim. Why would she have sent her a death threat? You're right, we must talk to her. Dr. Stokes, we found your letter to your girlfriend, Barb. If you don't leave, you'll die. Is that your idea of romance? How did you know I wrote it? I specifically used bits from one of my copies of Wondrous World so Barb wouldn't know it was for me. But why on earth would you write an anonymous death threat to your girlfriend? It wasn't a threat, it was a warning. I was afraid of what might happen to us if we stayed in here another day. Haven't you noticed by now, Senior Trooper Matthew? This place is hell. Everyone is scared of Rosetta. If you knew some of the things I've heard... Well, tell us those things. We're the police, and we want to know. Are you crazy? After what happened to Barb, I'm not saying anything. I'm leaving this place as soon as I can. I'll let the fingerprints run its course. Oh, actually, no. I've already gotten all the stars, so I'll go ahead and speed this up. And hold on a second. Okay. You know, Matthew, I can't say I've ever seen a clue that was a stress ball with the victim's face printed on it. I had jokes with Rupert that I'd get a stress ball like this with his face printed on it, because he really drove me nuts sometimes. I wish you were still here to argue with me. So do we, Amir. Anyway, you're here for the results. The fingerprints on the stress ball are Philip Hoover's. The stress ball is Hoover's. I guess the stress ball is Hoover's? I guess that makes sense. The man is anxiety personified at this point. But did his stress lead him to murder? You're right, Matthew. The sooner we find out, the better. Let's question Hoover.
entirely different setting. Just out of curiosity,
How did you get Tanofsky to grab the investigation?
my sources tell me you can't find what's going on.
Dr. Hoover, what compelled you to make a stress ball with Bellamy's face printed on it? Bellamy was absolutely useless and always in the way. It was infuriating. She was supposed to make my work easier by keeping people out of my lab. Instead, she kept coming in. I like to work in the lab late at night, so I'm not disturbed. But Bellamy would always pop up, saying she was doing her rounds. I'm the head of the meteorite department. I don't need any supervision. It mostly sounds like you don't want people to see what you do in there. Enough to kill, perhaps? If I were to kill anyone under this dome, it would be that janitor who tried to chum up with me because he saw me reading Wondrous Worlds. At least Bellamy served some use. Well, let's hope you didn't relieve some stress by cutting Bellamy's head off.
You can't prove they killed already because they're after minutes from us.
Tanofsky did a thorough job.
Looks like Wendy is in the clear. Everyone around here is very on edge, Matthew. The victim's girlfriend was so concerned for their safety that she wanted Barr to leave the dome with her, or so she claims. We also found out that Hoover resented the victim for her frequent intrusions on his work in the lab. All plausible motives, but no substantial proof just yet. And we're running out of time to solve this case. Thanks to Rosetta, we've only got 2 hours left. Good thinking. We know the killer hid evidence in the utility building by the lab. Let's go take another look.
If our suspicions are correct, sir, Mr. Tanofsky only disposed of the broken materials at the
Did get all the stars.
He has suspicions and he wants to hang my guys.
They could use hanging, Counselor. CEO Lombard said defendants are immune from prosecution if they testify to the grand jury.
Defendants to enter the witness protection program. He'd hardly have done that if they weren't cooperating.
That evidence suggests only that the defendants may have considered testifying. There's no proof that they actually did. The statute is clear. Immunity doesn't attach until the witness is sworn in and testifies.
There we go.
You won't need
Victim's radio. And a burning trash can.
say they did. It's like turnip truck. Idea once, Counselor. Why not go 2 for 2? There's being no demonstrable imposition of immunity here. People are free to pursue prosecution against the defendants.
How are we going to prove Biscotti and Libretti killed Tony without a body? This is
Already
a
up to
short
6th.
Tanofsky thought he had enough of the case to go after Tortomasi.
Matthew, be careful. We need to extinguish that fire.
Whatever's missing from his files would come in handy right about now.
Phew! The fire's out. What do you think started it? You think someone could have been trying to burn evidence? The only way to know is to dig through this trash can and see what we can find. And you found the victim's radio. Not only is it bloodstains, but there's also something caught in the grill. Let's collect it. We're getting close, Matthew. Our time's almost up, but Rosetta can't have the last laugh. Before we do, let's check it out. Oh, Rosetta walks again. Fuller, Shellwater, and Philip Hoover. The last remaining ones. Now let's find out. Damn, this is one of those times where I just want to arrest Rosetta Pierre because of what a bitch she is. Okay. Let's get the fiber sample you collected from the victim's radio to Amir. hours.
Every case is personal. Every victim tells a story. Oh yeah.
Wondrous World. Ooh. Matthew, the burning trash can contained a copy of Wondrous Worlds. Wondrous Worlds is the sci-fi magazine our killer reads. This can't be a coincidence. The killer was trying to get rid of evidence. Let's send this clue to the lab. I'm sure it'll tell us something about our killer.
WBD Central, Ion Television, positively entertaining.
This is 15 hours, and I'll see you guys when both of these are done. I'll have all stars collected by then. See y'all later. Excuse me. We're back, and let's get the results of the fibers right now. Amir, we need to find Bellamy's murderer before Rosetta's deadline, or she'll press charges against Jones. What can you tell us about the fiber sample we found on Bellamy's radio receiver? The fibers probably got caught in the receiver when your killer held Bellamy down to cut off her head. And they're the type of silk thread commonly used for necktie liners, not the necktie fabric itself. So while I can't tell you what color it is, your killer's definitely wearing a necktie. We'll have the killer by the scruff of their neck in no time, Matthew. So, Amir, did you discover anything about our killer from behind their their burned magazine? It looks like the killer's penchant for science fiction has helped do them in. On the edges of the pages, I found a mixture of rubbing alcohol and glycerin, ingredients commonly found in mixtures for cleaning glasses. It's gotta be Philip Hoover. Your killer had the substance on their fingers as they turned the pages of the magazine. They definitely wore glasses. Well, Matthew, our killer may wear glasses, but they won't see you coming. With minutes to spare, we've discovered the person behind Bellamy's murder. Rosetta's attempts to frame us for the crime have definitely failed. Come on, Matthew, let's go cuff our killer. Oh, it's not Philip Hoover. And it's not Amelia Fuller. Nope, it's not Wendy Stokes. She doesn't even wear a tie. I forgot Philip Hoover doesn't wear glasses. And no surprise, it's the janitor. Cyril Shellwater, you're under arrest for the murder of Barb Bellamy. What? You're blaming me for Bellamy's murder? You're as quick to point fingers as she was. Speaking of fingers, yours are still covered in baking soda when you held Bellamy down. This is a scientific facility. Everyone here uses baking soda. You know, for a janitor, you've been pretty sloppy. You've left blood-stained clues all over the place. I like to see you try to keep this place spotless yourself. In any case, littering doesn't make me a murderer. Stop lying. We know that you actively try to get rid of evidence, but Senior Trooper Matthew found your magazine and your glasses cleaner on it. Mr. Shellwater, the jig is up. Just confess. What could possibly have compelled you to cut that woman's head off? Okay, you got me. I confess. I cut off Bellamy's head. But this would never have happened if Bellamy hadn't interrupted my personal business with the meteorite. Your personal business with the meteorite? What are you talking about? I wanted to absorb the meteorite's power. Senior Trooper Matthew, I know that thing is powerful. Otherwise, Dreamlife wouldn't have built this whole place to study it. Ever since that meteorite fell on the floor, I just felt like something amazing was going to happen. There was a short story on Wondrous Worlds about a crystal meteorite that gave a guy superpowers. When I first caught a glimpse of Dreamlife's meteorite on my rounds, I knew it had to have magical properties too. I just had to wrap my arms around it and feel the energy zap through me. Then I wouldn't be the same old Cyril Shellwater anymore. I would be transformed. Transformed? How is the meteorite supposed to transform you? Well, I didn't get to find out. Bellamy walked in on me just as I embraced it. There wasn't enough time to absorb its energy. She tried to pull me away from it. I couldn't let her get in the way, so I grabbed the nearest thing I could find. And you cut her head off? Yes, what else could I have done? The worst thing is that I don't even know if that brief contact with the meteorite was enough to transform me. Mr. Shellwater, I think it's safe to say that the worst thing is the murder you committed. You're under arrest. Cyril Shellwater, you're charged with beheading Dreamlife's Chief of Security, Agent Bellamy. How do you plead? Guilty, Your Honor. I take full responsibility. But I'll warn you, don't be surprised when I transform and zap myself out of jail. Well, you're not the first person to crack under the oppressive atmosphere of the dome. Mr. Shellwater, this court hereby sentences you to 20 years in prison with mandatory psychological counseling. I'll be out of there in no time. You'll see. The meteorite will save me. As for Officer Jones's possible involvement in the murder, this court hereby clears him of all charges. Dreamlife's application to suspend him from active duty is dismissed. All rise. Matthew, this was a difficult investigation under a lot of pressure, but you pulled through. I'm extremely proud of you. Rosetta tried our patience and our abilities, but you rose to the occasion. It's definitely not the last time Rosetta is going to play dirty in order to keep us out of the dome. Which is why I want you to go back to the dome and finally have a good look at that meteorite. Matthew, I'm counting on you. Take a look at the other ones. Wendy Stokes, she was cleared from the start. No glasses on Philip Hoover. Rosetta Pierre was cleared early. Again. Emilio Fuller, no tie on him. It was Cyril Shellwater. And we'll get to Under the Dome 3-6 in just a minute. Hi, I guess you've returned. Let's start Under the Dome 3-6. Matthew's done an awesome... Oh boy. I still can't... Matthew, you did an awesome job solving the murder. I still can't believe Rosetta tried to pin the murder on me. I bet Rosetta's not happy about any of this. She really is hell-bent on keeping us away from that meteorite. Yes, which is why you need to make the most of the fact that you still have access to the meteorite lab. On that note, guess who's offered us unexpected help? Dr. Pickering, the geologist Rupert had been impersonating under the dome, is ready to assist with whatever we need. Matthew, that means you should head back to the Dreamlife lab and nab a sample of that meteorite. Then Dr. Pickering can help us analyze it. Sorry to barge in, Matthew, but I don't know who else to turn to. I need to talk to you and Gabriel if you have a minute. Jasper, I'm afraid we need to hurry off, but we'll make sure to swing by later. Matthew, let's go to that lab and get some answers. Hold on. Sorry guys, it ended up with an error on the page. You've done an awesome job solving Bellamy's murder. Okay, that's what it said. Okay, let's see. I think this might be the clue. Yep. Box of crystals. There we go. I don't think I'm gonna get any lucky finds at all. Okay, Matthew, we've got to be quiet and quick. We're lucky it's still night and no one's around, but you never know who could be watching. Thankfully, the crystals in this box you found are definitely shards taken from the meteorite. We don't have a warrant to take the whole box, of course, but hopefully no one will notice if we only take one piece. If we recover the text on the lid, we'll have a better idea of which piece we should take. Okay, let's see. There we go. The labels for the different samples show that there's a little bit of everything in here. Outer rock, minor chips, extraneous pebbles. But which one should we take? You're right, core fragments seem to be the most important, and there are some right here. It's a good thing Dr. Pickering has volunteered to help us analyze this, but he's going to need equipment. Maybe Martine can lend him hers. Quick, let's get out of here with this fragment before someone sees us. Okay, 6 hours. Still got one more to go. Let's ask Gabriel to help Jasper out. Gabriel, I'm really concerned about Amir. He hasn't been home since Rupert's death, and he won't talk to me. I keep trying to tell him that I refuse Dreamlife's job offer, but he just won't listen. What more can I do? I know this is hard, Jasper, but you had to understand. Amir's gone into self-preservation mode. Losing his mentor, discovering that his boyfriend had lied to him, this is a lot for him to process. I understand, but he's totally isolated himself. That can't be good. I agree. I think what Amir needs is proof that the job interview wasn't your idea. Something he can't simply refuse to listen to. Well, Hoover took notes during the interview, and I finished by telling him I refused to work for them. He must have written that down. If Hoover took notes, they must still be inside the dome. Jasper, you shouldn't be seen there, but I'm sure Matthew can help me have a look around. Thank you so much, Matthew. Here, take some money to help you out of a scrape. File folder. 10,000. So this is the famous dome. To think people have been living under here for a year. A fascinating endeavor from a sociological point of view. But I see you found what we need. This file folder is labeled Candidate Profiles. We're lucky Hoover's so stressed out that he keeps dropping things. If he took notes during Jasper's interview, they'll be in there. Let's get these back to the station and dig in. Torn file. There's a file torn to pieces among the rest of these candidate profiles we brought back from the dome. And look, that's Jasper's photo. Let's reassemble the file to see what it says. Matthew, these are Hoover's notes on his job interview with Jasper. Let's see. Far too loyal to police boyfriend to participate. Clearly only came to Dome to gather intelligence for said boyfriend. Well, Matthew, this definitely proves Jasper turned down Dreamlife's job offer. They even assumed he was there to spy for us. This should assure Amir of Jasper's loyalty. Let's go see him. Matthew, if you're here to talk to me about Jasper again, you can save your breath. Amir, listen, I know you feel betrayed, but Jasper truly thought accepting Dreamlife's interview might help us gain information about their intentions. And here's a document that proves that Jasper turned down Dreamlife's offer. Jasper really did turn them down, and they thought he was too loyal to me. I can't believe I've wasted all this time being angry at him when he risked his life to get us intel on the Dome, just like Rupert did. I need to talk to him. Matthew, thank you so much for everything. The lab was a cold place to sleep, but now that I'll be going home, I won't need this anymore. Here, it's yours. And I think we'll go ahead and speed this up, since I got the time. Hello, Matthew. You won't believe what Dr. Pickering found out about the meteorite fragment you brought in, but I'll let him tell you about it. Matthew, this is the single greatest thing that has happened to me in my entire life. Dreamlife's meteorite is composed of beryllium. It's what? Beryllium. It is an element that, until now, was only theorized to exist. No trace of it has ever been found on Earth before. This is an incredible discovery, and it's Dr. Pickering, can you explain to us what this beryllium stuff does exactly? Well, nobody knows. It doesn't exist on Earth, and we've never had the physical material to run any experiments. Analyzing its properties myself could take years, but Dreamlife has got to be running experiments. I bet they are, except Rosetta's doing everything she can to hide those experiments from us. But you're right, Matthew. Emilio Fuller was less guarded and more enthusiastic than the others. Maybe there's a way to trick him into telling us something. Mr. Fuller, we understand the discovery of this meteorite is pretty important to the scientific community. Oh, incredibly so. It's really too bad I can't talk about it. It kills me to keep something secret when it's this amazing. Well, we already heard a little bit through the grapevine. Is it true that the meteorite is made of beryllium? An element that, until now, has never been found on Earth. And I wish I could tell you about the effects of beryllium on that rabbit that we injected with it. A rabbit? You injected a rabbit with this element from the meteorite? No, that's not what I meant. There was no rabbit at all. No, not at all. Hey, Senior Trooper Matthew, if I give you this burger, would you please not tell anyone about what I just said? I'd really appreciate it. Matthew, we're lucky that young Emilio is so excited about his meteorite research that he accidentally revealed something. Apparently, Dream Life injected a rabbit with that extraterrestrial element they extracted from the meteorite. Emilio said the results of the experiment were fascinating, but how can we find out more? You're right, we need to find that rabbit. It's almost dawn, but if we're quick, let's go back to the lab. Oops. Hold on. There we go. Let's see. Oh boy, let's see. There we are. Oh God, Matthew, this is clearly the rabbit Fuller was talking about. He looks terrible. What in the world have they done to him? Well, first things first, let's open that cage. Three, 2, 3, 2. Two, 3, 3, 2, 7. Seven, 2, 3, 2, 4. There we are. You got the rabbit cage unlocked. Be careful with him, Matthew. We don't want to hurt him even more. Whatever Dream Life has done to this rabbit, it may help us understand what they're doing with the beryllium from the meteorite. Let's get the rabbit back to Martine's lab so she and Pickering can examine him. Kind of makes me wonder if Pickering is going to be our new colleague. But only time will tell. So for now, 6 hours also. We'll get this thing done. I'll let this run its course, and for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Okay, we have returned. Let's get the results of Test Rabbit right now. Matthew, I can honestly say I've never seen such a thing as this rabbit before. Yes, this rabbit looks pretty bad. Can you tell us why? Well, the poor creature was injected with beryllium, the extraterrestrial element extracted from the meteorite. The rabbit looks poorly because the beryllium suppressed his immune system. His natural healing processes are blocked. So beryllium is harmful. It causes sickness? Well, it's not that simple. We also looked at Amir's plant that got better after exposure to beryllium radiation. Oh yeah, the plant got better, not worse. Precisely. In that case, the beryllium accelerated the healing process. All this to say that beryllium has two opposing effects. It can enhance or suppress, heal or harm, so it can be used for good or for bad. Well, from what we know about Dream Life so far, I'm afraid they are probably more interested in the harmful effects of beryllium. But until we know for sure what they're intending to do with beryllium, we just need to investigate more. Matthew, thank you for making me see that pushing Jasper away was a mistake. I was blinded by my sadness over Rupert's death, and I cut myself off from everyone who could help. But I realize now that I can't shut out the people who genuinely love me just because I think they made a mistake. Amir, I'm really happy that you're feeling better, especially as we're going to need you more than ever. This was the first investigation in which you didn't have Rupert to help you, but you've proven yourself. I'm officially appointing you as lab chief. Make Rupert proud. I will always miss Rupert, but I will do my best to help you in the lab, Matthew. Good, because we have our work cut out for us. We discovered that the meteorite is made of an element that doesn't exist on Earth, beryllium. Our tests have shown that beryllium can have two opposing effects when it comes into contact with living things: enhance or suppress processes in the body. Well, it's a bit more complicated than that, but you've got the gist of it. And the enhancement or suppression can be either beneficial or harmful to the exposed organism. I don't like the idea of Dreamlight possessing such a thing. Knowing them, they aren't interested in the beneficial effects of beryllium. God knows what else they're working on. We've got to go shut them down. Not so fast, Detective. We need concrete proof of ill intent. For now, we know they're testing, but we don't know what for. But we at least have to take this to the press. The world needs to know of how evil Dream Life is. No, the last thing we want is the press meddling with an ongoing investigation. I discussed it with the interim mayor, and we concluded it's best not to alarm the population. Matthew, we know by now that Dream Life will not go down easily, but we won't stop until we bring them down.
This has been a terrible day. A friend's funeral, stuck in a train station in the middle of nowhere, trying to sleep on a hard wooden bench. I don't think I have ever been this depressed in my entire life.
All right. Number 34, September 6th. That's a Thursday again. Excuse me.
Buzz off, lady. Watch, see you.
4 new ones. Two new ones. Four of them. Four of them. Okay. Three. Oh, I got another shafter. Do I plan to do any cases in elite mode here? That I will. Just don't know when. Alright. And I do have the energy, so I am going to possibly do another case in elite mode. But I'll see you guys, for now, on September 6th. So I'll see y'all later.